Today's Diana Prince is Chef Joanne Thomas. Joanne Thomas grew up on the west side of Chicago and inherited her love for cooking from her mom. She's been cooking for over 40 years, starting at the age of 11, when she made homemade treats and created her own recipes. After serving in the U.S. Marine Corps, she pursued culinary education and worked in various dining establishments before starting her own catering company. She also published several cookbooks and has expanded her business to include retail products and virtual cooking classes. Chef Joanne is a single mother of three and finds joy in creating a warm and inviting atmosphere through her cooking. Joanne, thank you for joining me on Diana Prince.
Thank you so much for having me.
So today we're going to dive into something that's near and dear to my heart because it's part of my journey. It's the need for persistence when pursuing your goals. And for anyone who knows me, it's taken me a long time to get to where I'm at in business. And it took persistence and it took a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And we're going to dive into that and explore that with Joanne today because she's going to share her story. And we're going to have that conversation. Again, thank you for joining me. And let's get started.
All right, let's get started.
Let's start with background, a little bit of your backstory. When did you realize being a chef is what you wanted to do? You have a catering service, right?
So I'm an international travel chef and caterer.
Oh, wow.
And I have my own retail collection of spice blends, gourmet butters, fry batters, vegan products, dressing, and self-published 2 cookbooks. So I didn't always know that this was what I wanted to do. Let's just be honest. But I've always loved entertaining. And I've always loved feeding people. And I've always loved, and I still do, love just people getting together and having fun and eating good food and just making memories. That is something that I have always loved and had in my life. And so as a child, when I was about 6 years old, I got my Easy Bake Oven for Christmas. A lot of us did. And that was my best friend. I cooked everything that I could with that Easy Bake Oven. And that was one of the first interactions of food for me. I used to play, this is a funny story. I used to play grocery store with my mom's groceries. I would literally be sitting in the kitchen on the floor with the refrigerator open and pull all of the food out and just swipe it and make a little beep sound like I'm ringing them out at the grocery store. So I've always loved food. I was always passionate about it. After high school, I went to the Marine Corps. After the Marine Corps, I worked as communications. I worked as a student loan officer for the state of Illinois. I even went to cosmetology school. And I went and got my cosmetology educator's license, which I still have today. And so I did all of these things, but in the midst of working and doing all of these other things, I will always find a way to have a party, or I will always find a way to have people over to feed them. So I didn't realize until I probably was in my late 20s, maybe middle 20s, that, wow, this is something that I really should pursue. And so I ended up going to culinary school at the beginning of my 30s. I went to culinary school. I loved it so much. I went and got multiple certifications and a couple of associate degrees, and then went back and got a bachelor's in restaurant management. And I worked for everyone else. I worked in restaurants. I worked in banquet halls, hospitals, school districts. The last job that I had was an executive chef at a university. And then the pandemic happened. So in the midst of all of that, after culinary school, I started a part-time catering company. And so I would do it for family and friends because I just love to entertain. But once the pandemic happened, I decided, okay, I'm going to rebrand this part-time hobby and make it a full-time business. And so I did that. I rebranded, and that's when I launched all of my products. That's when I released my second cookbook. And 2021 was when I released everything. And so here we are almost 3 years later, and this is my full-time corporation. And I absolutely love it.
Oh my goodness. Congratulations.
Thank you.
In finding your path, because it takes a while sometimes for us to find our passion.
Yes.
And yours just happens to be around food, which, by the way, is my Favorite pastime?
I think a lot of us. Yes.
Oh my goodness. So tell me what that looks like for you. And let's focus on your catering business. Just
Okay.
being around food all the time. And, what does that look like for you? Because we could talk about, how maintaining balance, but I actually want to know how you handle your regular meals after being around food for so long.
It's
you
so
know,
funny.
because we're talking about something that is a day-to-day thing for us, meal prep. Us dread it.
Yes.
Meal planning, and a lot of us dread it. Tell me what your day looks like after you're done with a catering session. How do you handle your life and your meals, your personal ones?
So you mentioned balance. So let's start with that first. Like
Okay.
today, before this interview, I work out Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And so I was at the gym this morning having my motivation because that's what motivates me. And that centers me and gives me balance. And so when I'm doing catering events, a lot of times for those catering events, I will, first of all, chefs, we always make a little extra than what is needed for our customers because you never know, somebody may drop their plate or things happen. So you want
Mhm.
to always have a little extra. We always make about 10% extra than what the account is for. So normally, whatever the leftovers are, that's what I will eat for the day. I try to make sure I stick with the proteins and the vegetables, not all of the carbs. But sometimes if it's risotto left over, I'm definitely going to eat that. But yes, but surprisingly, there'll be times when I have so exhausted from a catering, there is no leftovers, and then I'm coming home and I don't feel like cooking. Like, what am I going to eat? And I would stop at a fast food restaurant and grab me something through the drive-through. So it varies. It depends. But I definitely make sure that I get my balanced meals in the midst of feeding everybody else's theirs.
It I have done quite a bit of entertaining. I would never say that I reached your levels at all, but I could see when I do some entertaining when you're cooking all day, that does a lot.
Yes,
You're either going to eat it all or your appetite's going to get messed up.
that is true.
Everybody's like, "Why aren't you eating anything?" I'm like, "I've looked at this thing already."
Or you're tasting it while you're
Yeah,
preparing it to make sure it's right. So by the time it's ready, you're not hungry
yeah.
anymore.
I'm like, "Oh, I'm done. I'm done. I'm not." You guys enjoy it. So
Yeah.
I always wanted to ask a chef that. I'm like, "Is
Yes.
this
So
is
we
this
have
just
our
me?"
days, we have our moments.
Oh my goodness, this is great. So I want to know, like, you're how long in business? You're in your third year. Did I get that right?
A third year from a corporation standpoint. I
Oh,
started the part-time catering company in 2006. I've been cooking since I was 6.
oh.
I'm 51 now, so I've been cooking a long
But
time.
on your own, in your full time capacity, it's been years. So let's
Yes.
talk about that. Let's
Okay.
talk about maybe you can share with the audience what some of your successes have been in the last couple of years since you went full time.
Okay. Definitely, I have been blessed to double my sales each year so far. So this year, I'm expecting the same to double the sales. I've been able to have multiple performances on WGN TV Chicago, Midday News Lunch Break, and Daytime Chicago. I was I in my traveling, I took a trip to Bali with a group of CEOs and I was able to prepare Easter dinner last year for about 16 CEOs. So those are some accomplishments that I am very proud of. I've also was on the main cooking stage for the Black Women's Expo Chicago last year. I
Mhm.
will be on the main stage of the Great Food Expo this year. So it's just been back
Wow.
to back of things happening. I was on the cover of Citizen News in the suburbs of Chicago, and it's just been a lot of things happening and things coming up. So there's a
Yeah.
lot that's still coming up that I will be able to share after.
Let's hear it. Go ahead, jump right in.
This is Black History Month, as we know. And next week, I will be a featured Black owned business at the McHenry County College. And I will be doing a presentation for the Business Center. So I'm excited about that. And then I told you about the Great Food Expo, the Black Women's Expo again this year. Great Food Expo is in October. So it's just, and then of course, in the midst of that, I have private dinners, I have caterings, I teach cooking classes. I will be doing cooking classes at Ethereal Confections in Woodstock starting in May. We're doing our first one in May. I'm doing a chef pop up at the American Legion in Huntley on the 24th. So it's just constantly going.
Are any of those events community support event, or are they all business driven?
The Legion Hall is both because
Mm-hmm.
they don't have, I'm a veteran, of course, as I stated. And so I'm a member of the Legion Hall. And that Legion Hall in Huntley do not have a restaurant in their Legion Hall. So this is like a twofold where I'm able to give to the community where they can come in and not just have drinks in the Legion Hall, but they can also order a meal, which is something that they haven't been able to do. So I'm excited about that. Oh, since you said community driven, I'm glad you brought that up. In March 9th, I believe, the Huntley School District is honoring me at the Women's Empowerment Showcase. And so the end of last year, I was a guest speaker for the school district, the Huntley School District, both the middle schools, Heinemann and Marlowe, and then the high school, where I went in and did a cooking demo with the students and just had fun with them and showed them how to make different things. So I do try to do some community stuff. And the teacher reached out to me the other day. She shared my recipe with the new students and she said they loved it and hopefully we can get you back in. So I was like, let's get that on the calendar. So I definitely do things as well for the community. There's a college, I can't think of the name right now, in September. They want me to be their master chef judge,
Mm-hmm.
where I will be doing a cooking demonstration. And then the culinary students have to duplicate that as best as they can to match mine. And the one that does it the best will win the competition. So there's a lot.
There's a lot. But I want to point something out though, because when we talk about community, a lot of the times we don't think that something that we're doing affects our community, but it does. And showing up for our businesses, you as a Black owned business, a Black woman, you show up to meet your goals, to meet your dreams. And that in and of itself resonates with a lot of us because you give someone else a vision of what their lives could look like. And it doesn't have to be direct to a community, but the fact that you are living your dream and inspiring other women to do the same. So just being yourself, you are an inspiration and you're spreading that love across to a lot of women. Being on this show gives a lot of women inspiration that they can achieve something if they keep to that very important trait, persistence.
Yes, very important. Definitely.
So let's talk about persistence a little bit. I know that you've loved food pretty much your entire life, but do you have one story where maybe your persistence was challenged and you really had to dig deep to make sure that you stayed on track?
That's a good question. I'm a perfectionist. Every event that I do, I'm always like, I want to make sure everything is perfect. I want to make sure everything is right. I want to make sure. So I'm always pushing myself to the little details because one thing that with my catering and my private chef services is I offer custom menus. You can't go to my website and just find a menu and pick it and say, oh, I want this, that, and that. I have a mandatory consultation with each client. And in that consultation, we talk about food allergies. We talk about dietary restrictions. We talk about favorite things that you like and you don't like. And I've had customers to where they had different restrictions or foods that they could not eat. And I'm always trying to ensure that I am providing the best quality service and customer service. So for me, every time I go out to do a service, I'm always like, okay, just make sure my customer is happy. Thank God I haven't had any issues to where I didn't have working equipment because I have had some people's homes that I go to, they have had, oh my God, extravagant kitchens with equipment that I don't have in my own home. But I also have went to places where their hot box didn't actually stay hot enough to serve the customer. So things like that kind of was challenging because for me, if I'm out at a restaurant, my food, if it's supposed to be hot, I want it hot. So in that situation, I definitely had to adapt. In Marine Corps, we say adapt and overcome. So I had to adapt and figure out another way to make sure the food stayed hot as I was delivering it to the customers. But in the kitchen, there's always things that can happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Always.
That speaks volumes about you because that's a lot to take on. Also, the fact that everything is custom to the client.
Yes.
So that puts a burden on you so that the client gets something that is that they want because there is no set menu. The fact that you stuck with it speaks to your persistence and the fact that you show up all throughout your life to achieve this greatness. It's amazing. Oh my
I
goodness.
don't look at it as a burden to me though, because
Well,
no,
a
this
lot of
is
people have formulas because a lot of people because a menu creates a formula. Makes it
right.
easy. Maybe burden wasn't the best choice of word, but you have to create everything from scratch. To having these are my 10 salads. I've made them a gazillion times. They're
Right.
not it's not a rinse and repeat situation. Every event is a challenge for you.
That's what makes myself and my company unique, because we want everyone to we want your experience to be your experience. I absolutely love, I know this is my gift. I know this is what I was created to do. And I absolutely love the opportunity that I get to do it. I get to meet new people. I get to meet help celebrate amazing milestones in people's lives, and to walk away with not just giving them a happy stomach, but a happy heart too, because they
Yeah.
know that I put my heart and soul into creating this custom experience for them. Yeah.
Wow. I'm telling you, you got very lucky clients. I have only ordered from a menu.
Okay.
And it didn't matter if I was getting it catered. So that is a phenomenal service that you provide, and your clients are very lucky. I wish you were here in New Jersey.
I am an international travel chef, so you can hire me and fly me in.
Wonderful. So we're almost ready to close it out, but I want to give you the floor so that you can talk about anything you want, anything that you're working on right now, or perhaps if you have an offer that you'd like to give the audience. The floor is yours.
Awesome. I do have a monthly membership called Love Bites. It's $15 a month plus tax and shipping. And every month I ship out a box of goodies. It's kitchen gadgets. It could be a new product sample of whatever new product I'm working on. You get access to live Q&A with me, recipes, videos, so much more. So that is available on my website. But as far as other things that the community, like you asked, I am a regular at the farmers market in Huntley, Illinois and Woodstock, Illinois. So that's community based. So I will be at Woodstock, Illinois this Saturday.
Community.
I was at
Like,
Huntley.
I don't do anything. Yes, you do.
I, because I guess I don't think about it as being
No,
community.
you don't. But it's huge. I'm sorry.
Okay.
One of the things that we as women, like I'm telling you, just achieving our dreams the way we are is a community service because there are girls out there that can follow our lead and just know that they have a ton of options
Yes.
available to them. So let's leave it with that. So go back to the farmers market, and I interrupted you.
That's
Go ahead.
okay. So I was at the Huntley Farmers Market last Saturday. I always, normally the second Saturday of every month, I'm at Huntley's Farmers Market. The third Saturday of every month, I'm at the Woodstock Farmers Market. So that is where I will be. And you can feel free to follow me on social media, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and my YouTube channel, all at Chef Joanne Thomas. And then my website is chefjoannethomas.com.
Wonderful. So I want to thank you for joining me here on this show. And for our listeners out there, if you want to learn more about Joanne and her company, Chef Joanne Thomas, be sure that I'm going to edit that.
Okay.
Let me get started again. Your company name is Serendipity Soul Corporation, right?
Serenity Soul Corporation.
Serenity. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
It's a little bit small. Okay, we're going to go back in. So thank you for being with me here on Diana Prince Lives Next Door, Joanne. For our listeners out there, if you want to learn more about Joanne and Serenity Soul Corporation, be sure to visit her website. I will have it listed in the description. And for sure, make sure that you take advantage of her offer. It sounds fantastic. And for everyone, stay curious, stay inspired, and keep seeking out extraordinary stories about amazing women. Until
Thank you
next
for
time.
having me.